You hear our music?
Is that right?
3, 2, 1, yeah!
Welcome to the Coaching Life Podcast. There it is. We got a little countdown.
I felt like we could hear it off the board before.
We would be able to if I plugged in an little output speaker. It's possible. We could do that.
I don't know.
We'd get a little bleed over.
So I can barely hear it. I can hear that it's different.
It is different.
Yeah. New season.
It's season 10.
Yes.
Episode
New season, new
171.
music.
That's right.
How's everyone doing? How you doing, Coach?
Doing well. I'm doing well. I was sore earlier in the week, but now my body's back.
Is that from the garage?
From the
work?
garage clean out?
Oh,
yes.
I was going to ask from your field work, but
I combined it. I did a little bit of both. I mean, I figured, well, I know I'm going to be really sore, so I may as well go and do some hula hoeing.
did you get some
edging.
grass out? Yeah.
I got the grass out of that's popping through the skin and got the edges cut clean, and we are getting our load of brick dust Friday.
You're excited.
Yeah.
We are no longer coming to Eastern to play because that brick dust is going to cut up all my players.
Yeah, you keep saying that. I've never.
No, I don't think
haven't
it does.
experienced that.
Although I think
it depends on who cuts it and how it's cut.
Yeah,
I have to get my Zanesville rep.
But you said this was the same stuff that is on Dalton Field.
No, they get theirs at Buckeye Trade and Supply. I did find that out. Okay. The stuff that we're getting is the same stuff that's on Jared's field, my brother at Fisher Catholic High School.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
He's got one of the best fields.
Your kids didn't get cut there?
Well, no, I don't think so.
Like you say cut, you like
scrapes them up.
like shaved.
Yeah, let me
scrapes them up, tears up the pants and
try
all
to
that.
Figure something out here as we're talking.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go back to it, but
yeah.
So we could still play at your place for that, but
Okay.
we're not going to because I don't like you anymore. So we're gonna bail out on that. Both games. When are you gonna get scrimmages?
Scrimmage is the only things I don't have yet. I actually filled my last date. I forgot to tell you that. Or I'm in the process of filling it.
Who'd you get?
Right now, Hillsboro, coach from Hillsboro texted, emailed, said, asked if it was still open. I said, yeah, as of right now it is. He's checking with his AD, so that might be our last game, and then I'm going to get our schedule printed up for people to see.
I talked to West Muskingum's AD the other day. His name's Coach Pete Woods. You know Coach Woods.
Yeah, that's where he is.
Yeah. He was my JV baseball coach when I was in school, and my world history teacher, I think.
Yeah.
Really, really good guy. They were in for the Blues Bash Festival.
Did you go up there?
I went. I didn't go in.
It's big bucks, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Tickets. Yeah. Tickets.
Didn't go in, but they were camping there and spending time there. So I went and spent some time with Coach Woods. Really had a good time.
Where do you camp? At the Blues?
At the upper end of the parking lot. So the Blues Bash is down at the end.
Yeah. Down in Pomeroy, right on the river, you got the big parking lot.
It's really cool. And then the boats are all out there on the off the levee, listening to everyone playing music and stuff like that. But it's pretty nice. They've got good food there, and it's good.
Our church band is playing at the Meigs County Fair.
I've seen that.
This Sunday. Yeah.
Oh, this Sunday on opening day.
So everybody hears this podcast. Come out and see it. 6:00 p.m. It's opening day. Yeah, it's right before the opening ceremonies. They have like a parade at 7:30.
Oh,
and then opening ceremonies down at the grandstand.
So are you going to be on the grandstand?
On the hill stage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait.
Which I don't know what's going on up there, but probably nothing. But
oh, okay. So it's not you're not having a worship service. You're having
just an hour of playing worship songs.
Okay, I got you.
10, 12 songs, however many.
Which is a worship service.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. Well, my understanding is that there used to be a worship service on the Sunday opening day of the fair.
Oh.
Like for the people that are out there, I think they used to have a service.
And then they stopped?
And I don't know when or why it stopped, but there had been some people asking about it, and one of our church band members happened to be talking with a fair board member and said, well, our band will play. And so they voted on it, and we're going to do it. So it'll be fun.
Gotcha.
It's a full day.
Here you go, folks. That's, we might get.
Is that a severed?
That's what.
So now I'm going to have to put the explicit, the graphic images, community standards.
Players when we go to play in the future, right there.
So what field is that?
Not really. That's Dalton.
But that's here in Athens, the Sandlot.
Yeah,
Dalton
but
field.
I think too, one of the things that makes that happen is because that when the league plays there, it's early in the year. So I think after that, like if you're not working that stuff, it settles, or I don't know. I could be making that up.
The dust matter works its way down,
Yes.
and you end up with rocks at the top.
Yes. So the further into the season
maybe.
at Dalton you get, the better it is. And you will obviously be working your field a lot more than a recreational field would be worked. Yeah. So I mean,
I never really noticed it that much. I know. So I remember back when I was
it may just be
on the
old.
Sandlot board. That's true too. So when we first did that product, crushed brick, whatever it is, on those fields, I feel like we got two different kinds. There are two different cuts. One is for an infield mix, which is a finer cut, and another is for putting on warning tracks. And they put some of that on. So, field 1 and 2, as you're driving into the park there used to be warning tracks around those fields. And they had a crushed brick product on it, but they were bigger stones you could see. And I wonder if they put some of that on the infield.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know until
we find our way.
Until Jake almost bled out.
We find a way to bore people with field maintenance talk every week here lately.
That's what's on our minds.
I was talking with Coach Detweiler, our Superintendent Detweiler, this morning on the phone, and he said that he listened to our podcast episode about cutoffs and relays.
I'm surprised. I'm disappointed Coach Detweiler didn't text me.
He said he might have been the only person who was really into that, just listening and wanting to debate us on things and all that. And so we did debate a little bit over the phone. It wasn't really a debate though, because we kind of agreed with each other, and that was whatever your personnel is. If you know your team and you've got better arms here and slower feet there, why use this person when you could use this one? And it's more efficient.
Yeah, because
in the outfield.
And what was his example there? Because I mean, I don't want to bore everyone again, but I said last week, I said our first baseman, typically I have our first baseman cut everything.
Yeah. Even plays down the left field line.
Right.
Yeah.
And he said there's been times that he's
doesn't use him at all. Doesn't use
first baseman
at all.
doesn't do anything. Yeah.
Shortstop.
I'd like to know what the first baseman was doing. Like that's the thing. Like, I want to know what he's doing. Holding
covering a bag
for a back pick.
Yeah, covering a bag wherever.
Oh, he was using a second baseman, so he was probably covering second base.
He's trailing, covering second base.
Then the right fielder's covering first.
Because he's going to trail anyway on a double cut, most likely. And
right.
So,
Yep.
I mean, there's a reason why there's so many pages in Ron Polk's book because there are lots of options, and you don't have to use all those options. You can make up your own options.
Actually, talking about Coach Woods, one of the things Coach Woods said to us as a JV team is that baseball, there's a bunch of fundamentals in baseball that you learn, that you practice, and you revert to, but sometimes you just got to be a baseball player.
Yeah.
Right. And do something that isn't usual or isn't common,
Right.
Sometimes it takes that. It's good stuff. So.
I mean, I think of a guy like Brandon Phillips back when he was playing for the Reds, and everybody was so enamored by the fact that they'd never seen anybody throw a ball behind their back before, or between their legs to get an out. And I think there are people who'd be like, oh, that's so unfundamental. I hope kids don't see that and try to do that. And I was actually thinking, we need to practice that because there's going to be a time for that, right?
I think I've gotten some side eyes from some assistant coaches and some from people watching when our shortstop or second base will flip a double play with their glove. because I make a big deal about
We call that
it.
sauce.
Sauce, baby. Yeah, or mustard. I'm a mustard guy.
And
so.
what's funny is there'll be times when we're taking IO, in and out, infield, outfield at the end of practice, and we'll do an entire sauce round. Just let them
nice.
have some fun.
Sure.
Like, okay, on this ground ball, it's got to be sauce on it.
Yeah. So and what's
and,
the,
if it becomes, you still got to get the out though, right? I mean, if it's not a
still
screw
practice.
Around,
Why
it's
is
not
it-
a screw around round.
No.
It's a. Sometimes you might have to do something unconventional to get this out.
Yes, and even if not, you're developing hand-eye coordination. You're developing glove control, glove skill, right? Yeah, you're working on athletic movements. I mean, it's something you do to get better, regardless.
And we can take it all the way back to when you and I were playing step ball and throwing the ball on the roof of our house. We did the same exact thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I would catch balls behind my back, and I would take the ball, catch it in my glove, and then flip it up with my glove and grab it with my hands.
It's a little bit
Stuff
too
like that. Is that
cocky
too
for
much?
me.
Is that too cocky?
Yeah.
What's today's topic? What are we going to talk about today?
You brought it. You came up with it. You must have read a book or
I
something.
had an idea. No, it came out of a conversation.
Oh, okay.
Is that kid cocky or confident? Mm-hmm. Does he have? Does that team have swagger, or are they just mouthy and? So a couple of years ago, you were telling me that you were getting criticized. You had a really good baseball team, and you told me, man, you even asked me, were our kids cocky? Did you feel like
Yeah,
they
I
were
did that
cocky?
for a few kids.
I was like, no,
I wanted
because
to
you
know.
were getting criticized for them being cocky, and I got to thinking about, we were talking. I was chatting with somebody about this. It was Coach Detweiler and I were talking about this also, and I said, what's funny is I had a couple of people tell me that Berlin Highland was cocky. And when I was kind of getting information, coaches, telling me, some scouting reports.
What'd you think?
Like, man, these guys, they're going to get under your. Don't let them get under your skin. They're cocky, and I didn't get the sense that they were cocky. I really didn't. I got the sense that they made it. They looked like they were having fun. They had swagger.
That's
The way they talked a lot, right? They chattered a lot.
Which is what we coach.
Which right,
we want
right.
to do that.
It was fun stuff, but it was also mixed with, like, if your kids are used to talking, if they're used to chattering, and even if it's goofy stuff, they're probably going to be more likely to communicate the stuff that they need to communicate on the field as well.
Yeah,
they're not
sure.
going to be shy because they're out there talking. And I remember when we played your team, I think you had Drew Dodson on third base.
Yeah.
You had Luke.
Well, Drew might have been
Finlaw.
playing first. I can't remember. We probably pitched him against you. Actually.
Well, you had you always pitched Ethan Stewart against us.
That's a lie. That is a lie.
Ethan, I think, was either. I'm talking. It would have been Luke Finlaw's senior year. He was at shortstop,
Actually,
and I think Ethan was at first base.
no, that's wrong. I'll tell you, and the reason I know it's wrong, I remember very, very clearly. Ethan started left field that game.
Yeah.
D1 athlete, plays for Ohio University right now.
But Lucas was at shortstop.
Luke was at short.
Because you had
probably
Dodson. So you had those three on the same side of the field.
Theron
The three
Ed-
most talkative players on the field.
Maybe. I think Theron Eberts was on third, and I think
I don't
Drew
even know.
Drew was on the mound. I think we pitched Drew against you, and we probably
Yeah.
had.
Well, we played 2 or 3 times, but what I remember was there was a lot of talk out there.
They did that.
There was
team-
a lot of talk.
Yes.
But all they were doing was talking with each other.
Yeah.
They weren't making fun of our kids. They weren't being belligerent about anything.
Right.
They were just chattering like, "Hey, how many outs is that?" And we're going to get right here. Going to get me a pop up. I don't know. I mean, I can't remember what they were saying. I used to have a kid that sat out in center field and just would say, "Hey, give him a cheeseburger and fries and set him down in the dugout."
Yeah,
I
I give Luke a lot of credit for that, Luke Finlaw, because he
would say stuff
had
like
that. He
that.
liked
Yeah.
that. He was in the, that was his element.
Yeah, but I don't think, like, so I guess that's the thing is, where do you as coaches, where do you determine that someone is cocky? Mm-hmm. Like, what is cockiness? And maybe I'm changing the way I think about this, because if you were to ask me, I'd be honest with you. I really like, I like Tony Vitello. Tony Vitello, Coach Vitello from Tennessee. and I like the Tennessee team.
Did you like?
I don't coach like that though. That's not who I am. I'm not a Tony Vitello type coach.
Yeah.
But I love watching that team play, because when I see that team play, I feel like these guys love the game. They love each other, and they can back up everything that they say, and everybody hates them for it. Like people hate teams that are really good.
Yeah. That's true.
And talk about it.
I think that's a life thing. People don't like successful people.
Good point.
So because that's a great example, the Tennessee, because
the national champions.
I actually saw, and I don't remember what game it was. It might have been in the championship game. But anyways, to me, we can look at the definitions of these words and swag. The definition of swag has nothing to do with anything we're talking about, really. We're using it as a slang use,
right.
Which it might be a definition now because we've used it so much.
Yeah.
But swag is it has different definitions. But for the context that we're talking about, it's when you see someone with swag, they carry themselves in a certain way on the field, and you can see that. And I think the question is, what's the difference between swag and cockiness? Because I think confidence is an element. It's something that exists, and you either have it or not in you, right? You either have confidence in your skills, in your abilities, in your capacity, or you don't. So it's something that is just there, or it's not.
Yeah.
I'm not for sure I can. I know how much confidence you have, unless you display it in some way.
Yeah.
How much confidence you have. And I think that's where we get cockiness and swag. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think you need to coach your kids to have swag, because it's an outward expression of the confidence they have in their skill.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't involve belittling people. It doesn't involve being annoying, towards someone.
Yeah.
But
you are annoying
to some
but
people.
like if I'm annoyed by you, that's my problem.
Sure.
Right?
Well,
like
and
if
to
something
some
that
people
you're
too.
doing annoys me, that's not your problem. That's my problem. This is a marriage lesson right here. Right? I mean, the truth is, I try not to be offended by very much, because I know that if I'm offended, that's usually 99% of the time that's my issue.
I do too, but you know what? I think I'm a pushover because of that as well.
You can't.
So I struggle with that internally, like when to be offended.
There are
and when
times,
not.
that's
because
why
I think I
left
can
a little
take
bit
a
of
lot.
room there. There are times you should be offended, but what do you do with it? Right? When you're offended, do you just, I'm offended by that, I'm going to post it all over social media, or do you approach somebody and say, hey, look, I don't appreciate that, because I don't think there's being offended or being annoyed by something that somebody does on a baseball field sometimes can seem a little ticky-tacky, maybe.
There's probably a problem with that, and if you're a player and you're that's in your mind right there, that I can't stand that. Guess what? That's a problem.
Oh yeah. And that's the reason why some people do things that appear cocky, because
Absolutely.
they know they're getting under your skin.
Sure.
I got a kid on my team who probably, just be really honest, isn't an overly confident person. Is not an overly confident person. But there are people who hate watching him play on the baseball field because he appears cocky. Right? Strikes out a batter, does the old sword thing, right?
Everyone does that.
Carries himself with swag. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, too. I want him to do those things because he's at his best.
It makes him better.
Things. Yeah. Yeah. Because if you're not naturally a confident person, but you've got some skill, like I know I can play this game, and you start to feel it and you start to let it show a little bit, and all of a sudden that confidence is building. And there have been times when he is not exemplified those characteristics that some would say is cocky, and he didn't play as well.
Yeah.
He made mistakes, and
I think cockiness is an outward display of confidence that you don't have.
that's a good definition for cockiness.
And you don't really know it unless you see. We'll look at a player, I would guess as a former player or as a player perspective. If you look at a player and you're seeing that they're displaying swag and they have a movement about them, but you're like,
I'm not afraid of that person.
They're not very good. Right. They're not very good. Yeah. But most of all, Coach, I think cockiness shows up in a very particular moment, and it's the moment when things don't go right. If you're a cocky player,
yep,
you don't hold it together in those moments.
Yeah,
your confidence is broken, and if you have enough confidence, it's not broken. You know what I mean? When things go wrong, you maintain that confidence because you understand it's a process. You understand it's the game. You understand there's going to be failure. But if it breaks you down, and we played a kid this year that was not outwardly, it wasn't really doing anything that would annoy you, but throwing a really good game against us, and had what I would call swag about him.
Yeah.
Like you could tell he was confident when he went out to the mound.
Yeah.
You could tell that he was, in a groove and in his zone, and he was feeling it, and he was strong, and he knew he was going to strike the next guy out. But we started to get to him and hit him a little bit, and there was an error or two, and he broke down. He started to he didn't respond to the coach well. He didn't respond to the situation well. Showed a lot of frustration, and I would say that was cockiness there.
Yeah,
because in that moment, hey man,
not able to maintain. Yeah,
you proved all you had to prove. You did great.
Right.
You were having a great 4 or 5 innings, whatever it was. Why now? And I think it's because there's a little bit of lack of that confidence there. So I think that when you can back it up, and when you can, it normally don't get to the point where you're belligerent or belittling or annoying or anything like that. But I feel like that's when when you don't have that confidence, that's when you get to that point, because it's almost like you're making up for it, right?
Yeah.
And then we get to, which another word that you brought up when we were discussing doing this, is class.
Yeah, because we tend to juxtapose those terms, right?
Yes.
We put them apart from each other. Cockiness or classiness, right? Swagger, swagger and confidence versus cockiness, whatever. But the two don't tend to, like, what's the difference? Like, what do you have to look like to be considered a team that has class? I guess. I
think when that's the thing. It's how you handle it, right? It's how you handle winning. It's how you handle losing. It's how you handle the good times and the bad times. Yeah. And so I think you can have swag and have class, right?
Yeah.
The cockiness is you can be cocky and still not allow it to go to the point where you don't have class. Cocky players that line up at the end of the game and shake hands and say, that's my bad, or good game, or whatever it is. To me, even though they displayed cockiness in that game, now they're showing a level of class. Right? So, back to Tennessee.
Okay.
And I don't know what player it was. We could look it up. Hit a home run.
Is this in the tournament?
I can't remember. I just saw the game.
Okay.
I just saw the highlight. And he's hitting the home run. He's flipping off the center fielder.
Oh, this was 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
they got into some. They got into some. Now, see,
that player had swag.
Yeah, he also got ejected.
Oh, he did. For that?
He got ejected in the tournament for. I think it was the same player. Man, this is going back too. This is a couple years ago, maybe even 3 years ago.
I just seen the highlight the other day.
Yeah.
Even
really?
Before we talked about this. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's Coach Vitello was getting some he was on the hot seat and getting a lot of criticism for allowing his team to basically they were undisciplined. Is kind of what, and some of that did show. I mean, some that like getting thrown out because of balls and strikes. Like, ball was on the corner of the plate and it was called a strike, and it was the first pitch of the at bat. The kid's like, that's effing terrible.
Did he draw a line, or they just got tossed?
No, he was like just kept it up. Like the ump was like, get in the box, and that's why I was thinking it was a couple years ago, because it doesn't register like even who it was or when. I'm sure the kid's playing in the majors now, or in the playing professionally now. But umpire got tired of it and he threw him out. And then I think Vitello got thrown out. I mean, it was a mess. And that same year he went after an umpire. I think, he was arguing. He was all fire and everything. But the flipping off the outfield, the stands when going around the field, there would have been discipline handed down.
Sure, because that's a lack of class, in my opinion.
That's definitely,
and that's
lack of
something
class.
you don't, as a coach, you can't abide by.
You already put the opponent in their place by hitting the ball 400 feet.
Absolutely. That's when you have swag.
Yeah.
That's when you take your, you go around the bases.
Yeah.
Do the Guardians.
Yeah. Now you just look like an idiot putting the middle finger up, running around you're disrespecting the game and the opponent,
everything,
the
yourself,
fans, the
your
kids,
family,
your family. Yeah.
It's just a bad, and not to pile on that guy, whoever it was, but I think those things come in moments.
We're gonna find out who it was.
You know what I mean?
Crazy. Yeah.
You can't. I mean, you can be a classy individual and make mistakes. No one's saying that. Like, none of these attributes do we maintain perpetually.
Yeah.
But those are the things you have to look out for. And I think it's good to think about those things, to talk about those things, to practice having swag is a good thing, right? To practice not being cocky is a good thing. Mm-hmm. To practice being classy is a good thing, right? And
it was Jordan Beck 2 years ago against Georgia.
Jordan Beck.
Yeah. It was a game-tying double.
So where's Jordan now? He's not.
It wasn't even a home run. It was a game-tying double. And as he's going, he knew that he'd just tied the game. With
I thought he was running from second to third,
and he's running around.
He's really.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on YouTube right now. Here's the thing though. Like, as much as I hate seeing that, and I probably was. I'm sure I was very critical of. He's playing for Colorado now. The Rockies.
I think I know what you're gonna say. Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the. He's in a Rockies uniform. I hated seeing that, and I was probably very critical of Vitello at the time. But I have changed my opinion of the team and him as a coach from 2 years ago to now.
Well, yeah.
Because I still see elements of this issue of cockiness or swagger, but it's not the same as that. It's not. Maybe I should keep the word since we're using these words. I should probably keep the word cockiness in a negative light, because that would be a negative thing, right?
I think so.
So swagger. So I see elements of swagger and confidence, and but I don't see as much of that. Like he's matured in his coaching. He has matured in his team. Like, he's helping his teams understand. Well, also they got embarrassed last year. They didn't even make it to Omaha. Right?
Yeah. Well, and that's why
number one. They were number one team in the league, in the nation during league play.
Yeah,
and
I think that's why for me it's like confidence is here. You have cockiness and swag, which is the display of that confidence one way or another, and how it is demonstrated, in the moment, and then you have class, which kind of is a separate thing, and it's like you can be cocky and have class.
Yeah,
you can have swag and have class.
Yeah, it's like what does class look like?
And it's all
right.
Both the other, the vice versa is true as well.
Yeah. It doesn't just look like one thing.
Yeah. And you know, you can do things that are not classy.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Yeah, you know, it's just, you know,
Yeah.
you can have skill and make an error. You're going to, you know, as human beings, we make mistakes. But, you know, from a coaching perspective, what do we allow, and what do we not allow?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think it looks classy to cut off your undershirt sleeves at the shoulders.
And that is
But I had
another
a whole
element
bunch of
to
kids
this.
that did that this year, right?
Well,
but there are also kids who, after the game, shake people's hands who they know had an impact. You know, seek out an umpire and say, you know, sir, appreciate, you know, you coming out, good game, things like that. Some of the same kids that cut their sleeves off. How am I defining class there?
Right.
By what your T-shirt looks like, or by your behavior?
Yeah, I don't think the T-shirt.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
It's not happening again. Let me tell you that right now.
Okay, but that's
it looked jakey.
That's the other thing, though. The problem that you run into as a coach is, and I think it's one of the most important skills that a coach can have, is the way that they relate to the players.
Yeah.
Right. And that's hard. That's hard for old guys like you and I to, you know, to
Certainly is.
I think my favorite football player, this is going to be odd to you, it's not Baker Mayfield. My favorite football player was Barry Sanders.
I don't know how. Here's the thing. Do you know anybody that did not like Barry Sanders?
Yeah,
How could you not like that
maybe
guy?
Lions fans when he retired early, but because what did Barry do?
He was the only thing they had.
He was the only thing they had.
But man,
when he was successful, like when he scored a touchdown,
he'd go straight to the back of the end zone and hand the football to the
and then he'd go to the sideline.
back judge or whatever.
And like to me, that's great. I love that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
But the
Emmitt
kids,
Smith did the same thing. Well, they kept the ball actually, but
they kept it.
he kept every touchdown he.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah,
Weird. I guess.
he had a bunch.
Yeah, they're all piled up in his garage. Where do you keep all those footballs? But that's boring to kids now.
Yeah.
You know, and what I would say, you know, a celebration. Like, everyone's got a double celebration.
Yep.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's wrong. But I know there's people out there that do. There's people out there that see a kid do a double celebration and think they're cocky,
Yeah.
right? Or
Yeah.
even that's not classy. And I don't think it's true.
Yeah.
You know, even though I don't like it, and maybe that's my initial thought. Like, I want to put something negative on it.
Did you have any umpires? Did your kids do a celebration after they hit a double?
Yeah.
Did you have any umpires say anything to you about it
No.
ever? So it's funny. I'm contrasting two different umpire responses that I saw this year.
Yeah.
And it's funny because one of them was a young guy, and one of them was an old guy.
Here we go.
I had a young guy come up to my first base coach and say, I don't want to see that. We can't have that out at second base anymore. It's showing up the other team. And Wes was like, okay, I'll let coach know. So that he came and told me, and I went out and talked. And I said, in between innings, I went out and talked. And I said, buddy, everybody's doing this kind of thing. It's not, their team's going to do it too.
First of all, the umpire should have came to you.
Exactly.
Rookie.
But anyway. Well, he was over. He went back over to the first base side, and he was chatting with Wes, right? Because Wes is my first base coach, and not really anything came out of it. But I think he said consider it like a first warning. That's what he told Wes, and so I had to kind of diffuse that. I'm like, listen, you're not going to throw a kid out for doing a celebration in the middle of the field. That's just, there's nothing in the OHSA rule book about that. So anyway, nothing ever came of that. Well, then later in the season, we were someplace else. I think we were playing at White Oak, actually. Kid hits a double. We hit a bunch of doubles, actually, that day. Played good ball that day. Umpire's an old guy, like retired, but umpiring, you could tell he kind of enjoys it and everything. And he's out there, and one of our kids hits a double, and he does some kind of celebration. And I saw the umpire do a double take, and everybody in the place could hear him go, "What in the hell was that?" And I went, "Oh no, man, he's gonna get in trouble." And the guy looked over at us, and he goes, "You claim this guy?" And he was just having fun. We're like, "Oh yeah, we just." And then he came over, and in between innings, he was like, "I don't know if I've seen some celebrations, but I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that." He goes, "That was unique. I'll say that." And then because he responded that way, it loosened our guys up. It loosened both teams up. Like, you knew, hey, this isn't a guy who's against us. He's letting us have some fun, play. It's a kind of a game within the game kind of thing. It's part of it that it's supposed to be fun, right? And did it impact us negatively or positively? Does it impact your players negatively or positively if they do some kind of a little celebration? If they're doing it and they miss out on a chance to advance a base, yeah, we'll talk about that, right? But if there's really no reason. I've lightened up about a lot of stuff. I had a kid last night show up to the all sports meeting. I hadn't seen him since spring. Long hair, long bleached hair, and kind of said, "Hey, I'll have it cut by spring." I'm like, "Why? It better be longer." I said, "You better look like a rock star come spring." He's like, "Oh, yeah, okay." I wouldn't have said that 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, this is a conversation. It's close to home.
Right? I mean, why are we making kids cut their hair short when that's not, it has nothing to do with with how they play the game. If you're concerned about it being in their eyes, put a headband on.
Yeah.
They'd like to wear those anyway
I
because
think
they see everybody.
that's the traditional argument of, especially for basketball coaches, it can't be in your eyes because you got to be able to dribble, you got to be able to see.
There's a heck of a lot of people on TV playing with it, and they seem to be having an okay time doing it.
And I guess there's a time to give in to those trends and fads and customs of the society you live in, and there's a time to not to. And
if you
just gotta use your discernment.
If you own the New York Yankees, and everybody wants to come and play for you, regardless of what your rules are, then you can have that kind of a rule.
Yeah.
Cincinnati tried that. Marge Schott tried that. She had that rule while she owned the Reds.
There's all kinds of jokes to come
Oh,
out
buddy,
of that there.
no doubt.
So it didn't work.
They had to do it. Yeah, they had to cut their hair
But I wonder what the Yankees
no
would do
facial hair.
if Aaron Judge grew a beard.
They can have a mustache in New York. They just can't have a beard. That's funny.
If Aaron Judge comes out with full beard, they gonna get rid of him.
Right. That I know. That's. I remember when Johnny Damon got traded from the Red Sox to the Yankees. It was right after the Red Sox had won the World Series, and Damon had that long hair, and it was, you didn't even recognize him.
Yeah,
he looked completely. Harrison Bader, same thing.
Yeah,
Harrison Bader went from St. Louis Cardinals to the Yankees.
Oh, Maya's hair is.
Yeah, his hair looks like mine did when I was his age.
Oh, really?
Well, it's funny because the mullets are coming back.
Yeah.
Look, got the sweaty curls in the back. I told him, drives girls nuts, buddy. He's like, I'll have to do the old, I'll have to wet it down then, like, what's his name, plays center field for the Phillies.
He wets it down before the game?
Yeah, what's the guy's name? Shoot. It's driving me crazy. See, I get behind the mic and I lose track of thought. I can't think. I think of it. But yeah. No, long hair is not that big of a deal. It really, to me, it's not anymore.
But some people would disagree with that hardly with us.
And I would still like, I don't mind debate. I don't mind having that conversation with somebody who has that rule. I would just ask why. Like why? Like, because if you ask me why isn't it a big deal to you, I'll give you the reasons why. But I would like to hear your reasons why it is. Like, why would you make a kid do that?
Yeah, I think the answer would be commitment, or an active discipline, or everyone looks the same, so there's a camaraderie to it. But
okay, I'll buy that.
I mean, you don't buy enough.
If that's what you
don't buy
want.
enough to enforce it.
No. I mean, if that's how you feel, if that's what you believe camaraderie is,
right,
and what uniformity. I mean, if uniformity to you is literally every hairstyle has to look the same, all right.
Right.
I mean,
like the military,
Yeah,
have the way that they do things, and you got a lot of people that try to implement things like that into their sports teams.
Yeah.
I think you said something.
It's getting harder and harder to do because even in today's world, the uniforms aren't even the same anymore. I mean, it used to be home uniform, visiting uniform, and from year to year, you knew what your team's uniform was going to look like because it was going to look like last year's uniform and 5 years ago's uniform. This year, they can't wait for the uniform reveal or the Sunday hat reveal for baseball or the alternative helmet review for for football.
I think you said something earlier. You said you have to be who you are as a coach. That's very important. And because
coaches need to be.
Here's the thing: whether you believe it or not, they will know if you're not being genuinely you.
Yeah.
Right. Your players will know.
Yeah.
And that's not good. That's not good for chemistry or team building or anything like that. Trust, primarily.
Yeah.
So you have to be you, and I would even take it a step further and we talked about it earlier too. You have to know your players.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say I'll take it a step further and even say sometimes you got to let them be them.
Exactly.
You got to let the players at some point. I get it. If them being themselves is a detriment to themselves, then that's where you got to step in and help govern young people. I'm a firm believer in that, right?
Yes.
I mean, there's a reason why we still make them live under our roofs until a certain age because they need help with government, right? But at some point, you start loosening those reins a little bit, and some kids you can loosen them up earlier in life. Others you have to takes a little bit more.
Yep. I mean, one of my goals as a coach is I want my players to be they own the team. They lead the team. To me, the best teams are player-led teams, and that's not easy to get to.
It isn't.
To say that, but that's a goal. So you have to give them some authority and some autonomy when and things like that, and especially so you have to decide what's important.
Yeah, it's their team, right? I mean, that's why, honestly, Pat, when I saw, to go back to our cutoff undershirts, the first kid that I saw with that, it was a mistake. It was the first kid that did it was an honest mistake. It was right before a game.
His ended up being the longest ones.
And it happened. Yes, they did end up being one of the longest ones. He was going to cut it to a short sleeve shirt, and it ended up being more of a one of those muscle shirt, closer to him, just down above the shoulder, And I went, I'm not going to say his name. I'm like, what are you doing? And then the other kids were like, I'll match him. We'll do the same. Yeah, we should all match now.
They made the same mistake.
A little shorter. And so I remember the first time I'm like, okay, we're just not wearing them now. I said, now we're warming up in our full jerseys, right? We're not. I mean, you guys can't figure out what the undershirt should look like, and then I thought, I mean, what do you guys want to do? What do you want to warm up in, right? And they preferred to warm up in those.
You had a vision of how these shirts were supposed to look.
I will say this, I did, yeah.
And then when it didn't look like that, you struggled with it.
I did.
So.
And I had to ask myself, is it that big of a deal? Is this a big deal to me? And if my answer was yes, I had to ask myself another question. Why? And then I would have to answer that question as well. And it probably would lead me down a path of saying, it's not really going to impact the way we play. It really isn't. I will say this, though.
The way you respond to it might impact the way you play.
Sure. We gave them that autonomy, and they knew that I didn't like it. That's the thing. They knew that I was frustrated by that. When I first saw that, I'm like, you son of a gun. But I let them wear them.
I think we're gonna when we show up at Easter next year.
You should do it.
We're going sleeveless.
You should do it. You should
bare arms.
Wear your bare arms.
Just to try to get in the Coach Stewart's head.
Yeah. It's funny in the and this probably reveals a little bit about some of our guys' mentality going to that game too. In the regional game against Berlin Highland, they decided they wanted to warm up in their jerseys instead of the cutoffs.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't. I let them do what they want to do, but I at that point I was like, let's not do that now. Who you are is
Absolutely.
who you've been, right?
Absolutely.
But I think they felt an embarrassment. They knew this team's legit, right? And we don't want to look like a bunch of fools out here. But problem is, that's who you are. Go out there.
Well, I would.
Go out there.
I wouldn't classify your team as a bunch of fools, Coach.
Fools. Yeah. That was a faux pas. No,
I agree.
And be who you are, right? I mean, you didn't care about it in the district. Why did you care about it now?
You thought it was okay in the district. Why wouldn't it be okay in the regional?
Yeah,
sure.
So it was that. So
what did they do?
I didn't even think about it then. It's not something that occurred to me until like right now. Like it's interesting.
Did they wear their uniform?
Yeah, they jerseyed up before we got to the. Now we wore the cutoffs when we got to the field and we hit in the cage and things like that.
Boy, I tell you,
when we got in the dugout before they went out to warm up, they jerseyed up.
There are some people out there right now that are saying, "That's why you guys lost that game."
Because we changed something.
You changed it.
Superstition.
Man. What is going on?
That's another episode. Superstition's another episode.
I think we've talked about that before. Yeah.
Yeah. Coach Huffman says he's not superstitious. He's a little stitious. That's his Michael Scott quote.
He told me the other day that one of his responsibilities as the assistant coach is to make sure all your players have energy drinks before games.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, here this is the same thing.
I hate those drinks.
I do too. I do too. Why do we hate them? Right? Well,
I just don't think they're very healthy.
They're not healthy.
And I haven't done any research on them, but I can't imagine.
They're not healthy. Come on. They're not healthy. They got a bunch of
sugar and caffeine. Yeah.
My thing is, but I don't if my kids had a Dr. Pepper before they got on the bus, I probably wouldn't complain as much as I do about the energy drink. Although they shouldn't drink Dr. Pepper before a game either. But my thing with those pre-workout energy drinks, and this is for life, like this is for everything. If you take that, like a lot of my guys want to bring those in and drink them before they work out.
Pound it before you work out.
Yeah, and I'm like, why do you do that? And they're like, it gets me ready to go. I'm like, okay, it gets you ready to go. And I agree, it does, and I get it.
You're gonna go David Goggins on me right now, aren't you?
not quite. You're gonna need that. You're training your body to need that to be ready to go. And unless and that's why your guys drink it every day.
No, that's why David Goggins doesn't even listen to music when he's running and working out.
Yeah,
you heard him say that.
There's a deep conversation.
Yeah,
that.
He's like, no, I don't. If I need music to get me fired up,
yeah,
I'm going to be in a situation where I'm going to need to be fired up.
Yeah,
and I don't have any music. What am I going to do?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's the same. Yeah.
So, but our guys listen to music too, and I don't really.
I love having the music on.
Yeah.
Now there are times we don't want. Yeah, there are times I'm like, no, but we're cutting the music here. This is instructional time. But if we're running like a PFP drill where we know we all know where we're supposed to be, batting practice, right? But there's not really any instruction going on. Oh yeah,
we'll good
music
stuff.
on.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking like on the bus and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, you don't listen to on the bus?
They do.
Yeah, we do too.
Yeah,
all the way until they get off.
Yeah. But I mean, it's still kind of the same concept. So there you go. So it's like now I'm kind of arguing against my point, but it's not healthy,
Like, are you? They listen to the same exact music, like they have to have these certain.
A lot
songs.
of them like to listen to it because it gets them ready to go. It relaxes them.
It's funny, Pat. Our playlists seem to be different every.
I think ours
trip.
are too.
Yeah. Now there's one song that they always played as we were pulling into the school.
The Meg's alma mater.
Miley Cyrus's "Party in the USA" was the song they played this year as we were pulling into the school.
That pretty much ends the podcast.
It's like that explains a lot about those kids you got out there. Their cutoff shirts and their Miley Cyrus and the.
Oh shoot!
That's the one Miley Cyrus song I think I know. Well, because they play it a lot. And it's an old one. That's
you know it word for word.
That could all be.
Or you just heard of it.
Hannah Montana.
Because the only.
Put your hands up.
This
You're
is
playing
horrible.
my song. Butterflies go away. Is that
I don't know.
the butterflies fly away?
I don't know. I don't know this song.
There's something about
And
the
the
song
only-
that,
the only Miley
that-
Cyrus
that
song I know
loosens you up a little bit, right?
Is the Wrecking Ball song. And I feel like the
Wrecking Ball song.
it's good you don't know that one. Everyone else is out here like, what?
That's later Miley when she's rough.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the song? Is that the song, the album where she's naked on top of a wrecking ball? Is that why you like that, Pat?
Oh boy, well, this is my words.
Violence.
My words
on
are
the
on
episode
video.
today. We've got nudity on the episode today. This is season 10 has become an explicit season.
I said that's the only song I know.
I
of.
said the word hell.
I don't know. I don't know the words to it. I just know of it. Because
You came in like a. I know that song. You came in like a wrecking ball. I can hear it in my mind right now.
That's it. That's all you know, though. You don't know any other words. You just say that over and over again.
Yeah. Is it bad? Is it a bad song?
I don't know. I don't know the words. I just know it was talked about because of the.
I need to get my guitar. We need to sing a worship song to end this episode.
You know, that's funny though, because that's part of the kind of what we're talking about too. Because I remember when Madonna
Yeah.
was just atrocious to society, and people were just.
Yeah, she still is.
Well, maybe, yeah. But now she's more acceptable. And I remember, like, okay, so Beavis and Butthead, Beavis and Butthead, the
yeah,
cartoon.
love 'em.
Like, there was my parents had a conversation whether they should let me watch Beavis and Butthead or not when I was in high school. I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe they shouldn't have. Maybe that's what, the things that we keep getting away
Maybe
from.
we've become desensitized. Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. I still pray that you can discern sin. Pray that you can discern cockiness versus confidence and swagger.
Yep.
And
Think about it.
yeah.
That's what you have to do. Think about how you respond. Think about how you behave. You know what I mean?
A takeaway. You want me to play the outro music?
Yeah,
I feel like we're wrapping it up here. So
I think we got to go. Don't we?
we got another group button in on us here in a little bit. But one of the takeaways for me that just in the whole conversation today is I've realized that I have had the ability to look at somebody or look at a team and the way a team behaves, or look at the way a guy coaches his team and say, man, I don't like that. And then recognize when, okay, there are elements to it though that I do like. I like the way they play the game. Like I like the way Tennessee plays the game really hard. I like the way they all love the game of baseball. You could tell that they're passionate about it. It doesn't mean that I endorse everything that they have ever done.
Yeah.
It just means that I get it now.
Yeah.
Like where I might have written them off completely because that one kid flipped people off as he was running around the bases, I could have easily been like, I'm going to hate Tennessee forever.
Right. Well,
I just choose not to do that.
We gotta give grace, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I won't say who because I don't know if you want me to, but Maya has been known to antagonize his opponents at times. And
You just said I won't say who, but then you said his name.
no, I'm not
Your
finished
son,
yet.
Maya.
So I was talking to someone and was like, I like that. Yeah, I like it. I like it. 'Cause I think one time he hit a triple and got on third base and was giving it a big clap, And I'm like, I want to wait till I get a hold of that kid. And this person's like, I like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, horrible. But if I see another player do it, I kind of like that. You know what I mean? But if it's my kid, I don't like that.
Yeah.
So it's perspective, and gotta know where it's coming from, and like we said, in a moment you can be cocky. In a moment, you can not be classy. But our goal is to strive to make those moments as little as possible.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why we're here.
That's right.
Yep. Thanks for joining us, everyone.